Hey everyone, so this video is about the book, The Lean Startup, how today's entrepreneurs use continuous innovation to create radically successful businesses, written by Eric Ries or Ries, and he is an entrepreneur and a blogger, and he's one of the founders of this concept called The Lean Startup. And basically this book is all about how to create a business. And this book goes into three things, or three stages, main stages, and within each stage he breaks it down even further and talks about how to step by step go from this stage to the next stage to the next. And so the three main stages are: one is having a vision, number two is steer, and the last is to accelerate. And again, within each of those three stages, there are, I guess, three or four mini or sub-stage, three or four sub-stages, sub-processes, whatever you want to call them. And so he dives in depth in this book on how to move from one stage to the next. And he talks about a lot of these concepts from a corporate standpoint. So he uses Toyota a lot in this book. He refers back to them. He refers to his own personal business, IMVU, and how he's used these concepts himself to grow his company. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 points that I don't talk about in my blog or on my website. And the very first thing is the question of why. And so this comes later or near the end of the book. And basically this is when you're looking at your product or you've created something and you're just kind of reflecting on whether it was successful or not. And so he says to ask the question why 5 times. So that basically says, oh, why wasn't this product successful? And you say why, and then you have an answer, and then from that answer you ask why again, and then again why, and then you get the answer, and then why, and then after asking why 5 times, you should overall get the underlying root cause of the reason as to why it happened or what the end result was. So he was talking about how he thought there was a problem with the product, but it actually ended up being not a problem with the product, but it was more so a lack of training on one end. So if you ask the question why 5 times, then you should be able to get to the root cause of the problem. The second thing is about pivoting. So when you create a business, you're going to be faced with the challenge of whether you should pivot. That means maybe change directions, or maybe you should persevere. That means continue on with your product. And he basically, there is this one part where he says that he's talked to a bunch of other entrepreneurs who have created this one specific idea and they thought it was good, but then after a while they decided to eventually pivot. But he was saying that from what he's gathered and from the people who he's talked to, the ones who have pivoted, they wish that they've pivoted earlier. I mean, obviously in hindsight, everything's 20/20, but one of the things that he's saying is that don't get too hung up on your idea. Don't think that you have to see your product go from beginning to end, because that's just kind of a recipe for disaster. If you strongly believe in something but the numbers aren't kind of substantiating that claim or what you believe in, then maybe it's a sign to pivot. And don't feel bad that you need to pivot. I mean, because there's a lot of successful businesses and entrepreneurs out there who have pivoted and created something even better. So don't feel that you don't have to pivot or you can't pivot. Pivoting is all right. And again, as he's talked to all these other entrepreneurs, they said they wish they pivoted sooner. All right, so that's point 2. And then the third point is it talks about, there's this one section in the book that just talks about how entrepreneurship isn't as glamorous as we all perceive it to be. So, the media will say, oh, look at this one person who made billions of dollars in 2 years doing this, this, and this. Well, yeah, that might be the case, but what they don't show you is, or what they really only show you is 5% of that person's life, or the highlights, essentially, right? They don't talk about all of the hard work that they put into it, or when they started, the hardships, all these other things. They don't really highlight those parts of an entrepreneur's life, or the successes, or the struggle behind the successes. And so don't believe exactly what you see in the news on all these successful entrepreneurs and how they only put in this much time and yada yada yada, because at the end of the day, that's only 5%, and that 5% isn't really representative of how they struggled and how they became who they were, or who they are. Alright, well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in checking out the book, there is a link down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you are interested in getting notifications for future videos, and check out my website at www.bookstakeaway.com to check out other books I've reviewed. And yeah, thank you for watching again. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now.